Welcome to episode 89 of Norse Myths, Legends, and Folktales. My name is MyLinda Butterworth, and today we continue the Saga of Thorstein and discover that Thorstein and Thorer have survived the battle with Oguatan and have left their father only to meet more dangers along the way in chapters 13 through 15 of Viking Saga. Chapter 13. In the next place it is said to be told that Thorstein lay among the slain, so tired out that he was wholly unable to help himself. But he was but little wounded, and toward the end of the night he heard a wagon coming along the ice. Then he saw a man following the wagon, and he saw that the man was his father. And when the man came to the field of battle, he cleared his way, throwing the dead out of his path. But he threw none with more force than the sons of the king. He saw that all were dead except Thorstein and Thorer. He then asked them whether they could speak at all, and Thorer said that he could. Still, Viking saw that he was covered with gaping wounds. Thorstein said that he was not wounded, but very tired. Viking took Thorer in his lap, and then it seemed to Thorstein that his father, in spite of his age, showed great strength. Thorstein went to the wagon himself and laid himself in it with his weapons. Then Viking drove on with the wagon. The weather began to grow dark and cloudy, and it changed so fast that in a very little while the whole ice seemed to Viking to give away. Just at the time when they had landed, all the ice had melted out of the lake. Viking then went home to his bedchamber. Close by his bed was the entrance to an underground dwelling, and down into it he took his sons. In it was enough food and drink and clothing and all things that might be needed. Viking healed the wounds of his son Thorer, for he was a good leech. One end of the house stood in a forest, and here Viking very strongly warned his sons never to leave the underground dwelling, for he said it was sure that Ogautan would straightway find out that they were alive, and then, added he, we may soon look for a war. As to this, they made good promises. Time passed on until Thorer became altogether whole again. It was now talked abroad throughout the country that all the sons of Viking were dead, but nevertheless it was talked somewhat after Ogautan that it was not sure whether Thorer was dead or not. Then Jokul bade him seek and try to find out with certainty where Thorer had his dwelling place. Now Ogautan fell into deep thinking, but still he did not become any surer about Thorer. One day it happened that Thorer said to Thorstein, I am getting very tired of staying in this underground dwelling now that the weather is fine, and my will is that we take a walk into the forest to amuse ourselves. Answered Thorstein, I will not, for we would then break the bidding of our father. Nevertheless, I shall go, said Thorer. Thorstein had no mind to stay behind, and so they went to the forest and spent the day there amusing themselves. But in the evening, when they were about to go home again, they saw a little she-fox scenting round about in all directions, and snuffing under every tree. Said Thorer, What satanic being goes there, brother? Answered Thorstein, I really do not know. It seems to me that I have once seen something like it, namely, the night before Jokul's visit to the shed, and I think that we have here that cursed Ogautan. He then took a spear, which he shot at the fox, but she crept down into the ground. After this they went home to their underground dwelling, and did not let on that anything had happened. Shortly afterward, Jarl Viking came there and said, Now you have done a bad thing, having broken what I bade you by leaving the cave, and thus Oguatan has found out that you are here. I therefore expect the brothers soon will come with war upon us. Chapter 14. Shortly after this, Ogautan had a talk with Jokul and said, "It is that the brothers Thorer and Thorstein are still alive at Vikings and are hid by him," answered Jokul. "Then I would gather together men and not give up till we have their lives." Jokul got together 80 men, among whom there were 30 of the king's courtiers, all well busked as to clothes. In the evening they were busked for setting out, being about to leave the next morning. 2 young loafers, of whom the one named Wotan and the other Tumal, had just come there. And when they had just got to bed in that evening, Wotan spoke to Tumal. "Do you think it is wise, brother, that we arise and go to Viking and tell him of Jokul's plans? For I know it will be the bane of Viking if they come upon him unawares, and it is our duty to go and help them." Made answer Tumal, "You are very foolish. You do not think that the watchmen will become aware of us if we travel by night, and then we shall be killed without giving any help to Viking." Said Vot, "You always show that you are a coward, but although you dare not move a step, I will nevertheless go and tell Viking what is about being done, for I would gladly lose my life if I could hinder the death of Viking and his sons, for he has often been kind to me." Vot arose and dressed himself, and likewise did Tumal, for the latter had no mind of staying in bed alone. Now they went their way and came to Vikings at midnight, and aroused him from his sleep. Vot told him that Jokul was to be looked for. There was a large number of men. Said Viking, "Well you have done, dear Vot, and your deed surely deserves a reward." Viking then called together some men from the neighborhood, so that he had 30 men. Then he went down to his sons in the cave and told them the state of things. Said Thor, "They shall be withstood if they come, for we will come out of the cave and fight together with you." Answered Viking, "You shall not. Let us first see how our fight may turn out, and if it should look hopeless to me, then I will go to that place below, which is your cave, and make a great noise, and then you must come and help me." Thorstein said he would do so, and so Viking went away. After daybreak, Viking and all his men took their weapons. They took the kisea, called Herrick's loom, in his hands, but everybody thought he would not be able to wield it on account of its weight, and he being so old. A wonderful change then seemed to take place, for as soon as Viking had put on the armor, he seemed to be young a second time. A large yard was enclosed by a high wall in front of Viking's byre. It formed a very good vantage ground, and here he and his men busked themselves for the battle, and weapons were given to Vot and Tumal. Chapter 15. Now, it is to be told that Jokul busked himself and all his army for starting early the next morning, and he did not halt in his march before he came to the dwelling of Viking. Viking was standing outside upon the wall of the yard, and bade Jokul and all his men come in. Answered Jokul, "Quite otherwise have you deserved than that we should accept your invitation. Our errand here is that you give us those mishap-bringing men, Thorstein and Thorer." "I will not do it," answered Viking. "Nevertheless, I will not deny that both of them have been here, but I would sooner give up myself than them. Now you may attack us if you like, but I and my men will ward ourselves." They now made a hard attack, but Viking and his men warded themselves bravely. Thus some time passed. Then Jokul tried to scale the wall. Viking and his men slew many men, but now all his men began to fall. Then Viking went to the place over the underground dwelling and struck his shield hard and made a fearful noise. This Thor heard and said to Thorstein, "We ought to make haste, for all that we may be too late, for I think our father has fallen already." Thorstein said he was quite ready, and when they came out, only Vot and Tumal and 3 other men were standing with Viking. Nevertheless, Viking was not wounded yet. He was only very tired. As soon as the brothers came out, Thorstein turned to the spot where Jokul was standing. Thor went where Ogautan and his men stood. 12 of King njorf's men attacked Viking and his men. Viking warded himself and was not wounded by the men who were against him. Their leader was Bjorn. In a short time, Thor slew all the followers of Ogautan and stabbed at them with his sword. But Ogautan thrust himself down into the ground so that only the soles of his feet could be seen. Thorstein attacked Jokul. Said Vot, "It is well that we are trying each other's bravery, for Jokul never would bear to hear that Thorstein was a match for him in anything." Now, there was a very hard battle between Thorstein and Jokul, and it so turned out that Jokul, scarred with many wounds, bounded back and fell down outside of the wall. But when Jokul had gone away, Viking gave quarter to the men of the king's court that still were alive, and sent them away with suitable gifts, begging them to bring his friendly greetings to King njorf. When Jokul came home, Ogautan was there already. Jokul blamed him bitterly for having fled before anybody else. To this made answer Ogautan, "It was not possible to stay in the fight any longer, and truly it may be said that we there had to do with trolls rather than men." But Jokul found that his words rather overdid the matter. Somewhat later, King njorf's men, to whom quarter had been given by Viking and his men, came home, bringing Viking greetings to King njorf, and telling him of all the kind treatment they had gotten from Viking. Said the king, "Truly is Viking unlike most other men on account of his high-mindedness and all his bravery. And now, my son Jokul, I speak the truth when I solemnly forbid any war to be waged against Viking from this time forward." Answered Jokul, "I cannot bear to have the slayers of my brothers in the garth next to me, and in a word, I declare that Viking and his sons shall never live in peace, so far as I'm concerned, and I shall never cease persecuting them before they are all sent to hell, the goddess of death." Answered the king, "Then I shall try and see who of us two is the most blessed with friends. For with all those who are willing to follow me, I will go, and helping Viking, it seems to me to be a great weight that you do not become the bane of Viking. For if that should follow, I would be forced to do one of 2 things, either to have you killed, and that would be the cause of evil talk, or to break my oaths which I have sworn, namely, that I would avenge Viking if I should outlive him." And thus ended his speech. Viking had a talk with his sons and said to them, "Owing to Jokul's power, I dare not keep you here. But there is another matter of still more weight, and that is that I do not want any discord to arise between me and King njorf." Said Thorstein, "What will you then advise us to do?" Answered Viking, "There is a man by name Halfdan who rules over Vogs. Vog is on the other side of yonder mountain. Halfdan is my old friend and foster brother, to whom I will send you and commend you to his good will. But there are many dangerous hindrances in the way, especially 2 hut dwellers, robbers, one of whom is worse to deal with than the other. The name of one of them is Sam, and the other is Fullafle. The latter has a dog called Graham, with which it is almost as dangerous to deal as with the robber himself. Now, I am not sure that you will reach Vogs, though you may escape both of these robbers, for there is a chasm along the mountain, so deep and broad that I do not know anyone who has passed it but my foster brothers and myself. I should indeed think it more likely that Thorstein might pass it, whereas I feel less hopeful about Thor. Shortly afterwards, the brothers busked themselves for setting out, having all their weapons with them. Then Viking gave the kisa to Thor. He handed a gold ring to his son Thorstein, begging him to give it to Halfdan as a token of their old friendship. "Now be patient, my son Thor," said Viking. "Although Halfdan may be peevish towards you, or does not look much to you or your errand." Then the sons took leave of their father, who was so deeply moved that the tears trickled down his cheeks. Viking looked after them as they were going away and said, "I shall never in my life see you again. And nevertheless, you, my son Thorstein, will reach an old age and become a very distinguished man. And now, farewell, and all hail to you." Then the old man returned home, but his sons climbed the mountain till they reached a hut in the evening. The door was half shut. Thor stepped over it, and by using all his strength he pushed it open. And when they had entered the hut, they saw there a great deal of wares and supplies of all kinds. There was a large bed, and at nightfall the hut dweller, a man of somewhat frowning look, came home. He said, "Are you here, you mishap-bringing men, you sons of Viking, Thorstein and Thorer, who have slain 7 of the sons of njorf? And now all their ill luck shall come to an end, for it will be an easy matter for me to strike you to the ground." "Who is that," said Thor, "who so boastfully insults us?" Answered the robber, "My name is Sam. I am the son of Svart. My brother's name is Fullafle. He is the boss in the other hut." Then Thorstein, "I see that Venus calls on us 2 brothers. If you alone kill both of us, and therefore I do not hesitate to test our valor. But Thor shall stand by without taking any part in our combat." At the same time Sam ran suddenly under Thorstein with such great speed that the latter lost the hold he had gotten, but still did not fall. Then Thor ran to Sam, stabbing him with his kisia in one side so that it came out at the other side, and thus Sam fell down dead. He stopped there during the night and had a good rest, for there was plenty of food. They made the hut warm, but did not carry away any fee with them. In the morning they left the hut, but in the evening of the same day they came to another hut, much larger than the former one. There also the door was half shut. Thor stepped over to the door, intending to push it open, but he could not. He used all his strength, but still the door would not open. Then Thorstein stepped over to the door and pushed it until it gave way, and so they went into the hut. On the other side there was a stack of wares, and on the other one of logs. A bed was placed in the inner part of that, but crosswise, and it was so large that they were surprised at its size. At one end of the bed was something like a large round bedstead, and they judged that it must be the couch of the dog Graham. They then seated themselves and built a fire before them, and long after nightfall they heard heavy footsteps outside. Presently the door was opened, and a giant of stupendous stature entered, carrying bound on his back a large black bear, and a string of fowl on his breast. He laid his burden down on the floor, saying, "Fie, here I have the miscreants, the sons of Viking, who on account of their ill-fated deeds are held in the worst repute throughout the whole land. But how did you escape the hands of my brother Sam?" "We escaped in such a manner," said Thorstein, "that he lay dead on the spot." "You have taken advantage of him in his sleep," said Fullafle. "By no means," said Thorstein, "for we fought with him, and my brother Thor slew him." "I shall not act as a nithing toward you tonight," said Fullafle. "You shall stay till morning, and have what food you want." Then the hut dweller cut his game to pieces, took a table, and put victuals on it, whereupon they all took to eating, and after their supper they went to bed. The two brothers slept together in some marketable cloaks. The dog growled as they passed by him. Neither party tried to deceive the other. In the morning both parties arose early. Said Fullafle, "Now, Thorstein, let us try each other's strength, but let Thor fight with my dog in another place." Answered Thorstein, "That shall be according to your wish." Now they went out of the hut and over on the lawn which fronted it, and suddenly the dog, with his jaws wide open, leaped upon Thor. Both Thor and the dog fought fiercely, for the dog warded off every blow with his tail, and when Thor tried to pierce him with his kisia, he escaped by biting the weapon at every stab. Thus they fought for 3 hours, and Thor had yet succeeded in wounding him. Only once Gram suddenly darted upon Thor and bit a slice out of his calf. At the same time, Thor stabbed the dog with his kisa, pinning him down to the ground, and soon after Gram expired. But of Fullafle it is said to be told that he had a large meeker, an Anglo-Saxon mace, a kind of sword, in his hand, and Thorstein had his sword also. They had a long and severe struggle, for Fullafle was wont to deal heavy blows. But as Angervaldi bit armor no less than flesh, he fell dead, and Thorstein was wholly without a wound. And here is where I end my tale for today. But I'll be back with more tales, many more tales. Until then, my friends, enjoy the journey.